Okay, recording this video after close of trade Thursday, 19th of May 2011, and I've already put up my day trading video for today, so this is just kind of a follow-up. I'm really excited just because the indicators were just picture perfect today, and I'm going to show you what they were showing on the tick bar charts and how you could have foreseen, kind of how this day was going to play out. So first of all, I'm going to show you the higher time frame chart starting at the 4,500 tip bar chart. You can see the close of trade on Wednesday. We had end of trend warning signal here with all these blue professional bars kind of coming out. We had a little bit of sell-off and then a push to the highs in the early part of the day. But what this was showing me on the 4,500 tip bar chart, that we were kind of overextended on this time frame and likely to make some kind of left shoulder move. I talk about this when you're looking at kind of your lower, medium and higher time frames, when the end of trends tend to ripple across from the lower to the medium to the higher time frame. So on this time frame we were kind of setting up for this kind of left shoulder kind of move, and so expecting some kind of weakness, and we would be caught when you go up to the next highest time frame, the 13,500 time frame. We would be caught after we'd made that end of trend at the pullback in an uptrend on the next highest time frame, which is exactly what happened. We got kind of caught by this pullback level here. And then we ended up kind of making an end of trend in this time frame. So on the 4,500 time frame, we've made an end of trend here, which is this kind of left shoulder. Then we find support at the pullback level. Then we test, find an end of trend on the 13,500 tip bar chart here. Now sometimes, so this is kind of a head move. Sometimes the head kind of pokes above the shoulder or whatever. They're not. You're not looking for perfect kind of classic technical analysis patterns. All I'm saying is, we get this gradual rolling over of a trend move when we have these kind of end of trend sequences happening in the lower time frames, then rippling through the higher time frames. So the 4,500 kind of happened here. We found support. We came up to the end of trend on the 13,500 tip bar chart, and then we look at the highest time frame chart, the 40,500 tip bar chart here. Well, you can see we've ended the day kind of very, very weak in terms of buying and selling today. We kind of got nowhere, 1341, and we're in a land of real uncertainty at the moment that could easily break into a downtrend, and I'll show you the higher time frame charts on why I'm suggesting that's going to be the case. But we've ended up the day kind of going nowhere in terms of better momentum on the 40,500 tip bar chart, and could easily just kind of roll over to the downside. But anyway, so setting up for today, we knew on the 4,500 that we were kind of exhausted, so we need to be looking for a decent kind of short entry, and then finding support on the 13,500 tip bar chart for a kind of a push up. So there's kind of a reversal day, kind of down then up. So then looking at the lower time frame charts, the 15,500 time frame charts, before the open today, you can see all these blue professional bars. We'd had exhaustion buying, blue professional bars kind of coming here at the highs, bearish divergence, real lack of profit taking effectively by the professionals up here in the 40s. And we can see we initially just sold off a fraction here, came into a Rambo pattern. I went reversed. I was kind of trying to get short, reversed at the Rambo pattern, kind of went long here. The Rambo pattern was just showing the amateurs are trying to get short just a little bit too early. The professionals aren't going to give you a gift like that, so they're going to take it up, kind of freak you out, make new highs, catch a whole bunch of stops, which is exactly what they did. So you can see the next kind of blue professional bar kind of coming in here, bang, at the highs, at an end of trend with a flush signal. I mean, this is my favorite setup when we've got exhaustion buying or selling. We kind of find support at the pullback level, bearish divergence as we roll over, and then push to new highs, flush signals, flushing out the last of those buyers, thinking they're all thinking, oh my god, this is actually we're going to break to new highs. No, end of trend warning signal, and we correct to the downside. Now, what's important about this correction to the downside, and this is where we found support on the 13,500 tip bar chart on that higher time frame, so we knew we were in for a kind of move here. Now what's important about the character of this move on the way down is it's a complex correction. You can see complex corrections, we just bat backwards and forwards between these cyclical highs and lows. There's no kind of trend move here on this particular time frame. We're just batting backwards and forwards, each time making new lows by a couple of points, just pushing forward. And this move wasn't over until we saw all of these blue professional bars. You can see them kind of coming in here. This last sequence here, people are thinking, oh, maybe 38's going to hold. No, bang. Professionals have come in at this break, they step in again, and beautiful pattern. Flush signal right down here at the lows. We come back, have a final test down here at 35. Exhaustion selling, we finally get all the sellers out at that point, and then we rush to the upside. And you can see, this move here was a trend move up that finished with a pullback and an end of trend sequence here. The professionals already got out here. This last move up was really weak. The new highs being made by the amateurs here with a Rambo pattern, a potential reversal of an amateur breakout. The amateurs are buying this breakout. Bearish divergence, bang, 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 and then we sell off, and we kind of bounce from this exhaustion selling. There's a real lack of kind of participation here, and real sense that this is another opportunity. 45, 46 was a gift to kind of get short, and then we kind of came back to 44, another gift to get short, and they're kind of rushing for the exits at that point here. But this is the move. This is the this kind of combination I want to show you, that the end of trend on the 4,500 kind of set off the weakness. We had a perfect entry here, and I was what was happening here, there's 9 o'clock, the existing home sales and Philly Fed survey numbers kind of came out, and we had this huge move in literally seconds. I couldn't get on board this until it hit kind of 42. It just happened so quickly. I was unwilling to get into it before the news, just because we usually have kind of a high volatility at the news, but getting in at this kind of end of trend would have been the absolute go. But the news kind of came out here on this long bar, and we just kind of shot to the downside super quick. But the move kind of was good for a fair few. I think it was almost 10 points, kind of almost 10 points, kind of top to bottom is about 9 points, I think. But anyway, so this is this kind of complex correction, and wait for that. And then it was because we were getting caught here by this pullback in an uptrend move on the 13,500 tip bar chart. Now, of course, so this was a beautiful kind of signal here. Because we're having a complex correction on this time frame, you're not going to expect an end of trend signal on the 1500 tip bar chart. But when we look at the 500 tip bar chart, what did we get? Right down at the lows there, beautiful end of trend sequence here. You can see as we're falling through this last kind of push to new lows, exhaustion selling, the blue professional bars kind of come in, pullback, end of trend. We'd had our flush signal here, but there's that exhaustion selling finally at 35 that kind of knocks out all of those kind of stops at that low, and then we rally from there. So nicely signaled on the 500 tip bar chart, and that was the only kind of end of trend in this sequence. So it's a significant. It's not like you need to pick out that end of trend from half a dozen end of trends that were going off at the same time. It's the only one there. So it's like it's stuck out like a sore thumb. And once we saw it with that kind of capitulation selling volume there, that coincided with the support on 13,500, along with this kind of complex correction, 35 was the go. That was a kind of a low risk kind of entry point to catch some on the upside once we kind of got short on this downside move. So that was kind of the way to play Thursday. You can actually see these things kind of setting up in real time, but what kind of just makes me feel delighted when I come down and see my charts in the morning is that how it played out so perfectly using the better sine wave and better momentum and kind of better pro-am indicators. Anyway, now let's talk a little bit of kind of higher time frame, because we're at a really important juncture. Okay, now this is today's volume was just over 1.8 million contracts traded, just under the average volume for today. Now, we've made a second cyclical turn after end of trend. So we made our end of trend. This is using the at ES contract kind of day and night, just because it signals this end of trend kind of more cleanly than just using the day session data. So end of trend, second cyclical turn is always a point where we're going to find a potential setup for a change in trend. Now, let's just zero into these bars in a little bit of detail. These 2 days, critical, absolutely critical days. Kind of the market kind of sells off here. We get 2 extremely low volume up days here, kind of testing the into those highs, and we only make it up into I think we just got into the high 50s, 58 or something like that was the highs kind of up here. And what that showed was a lack of demand up here. This was the Bin Laden high. So this is the Sunday night at 72. Some Bin Laden kind of executed in Pakistan, supposedly. And professionals using all of that kind of good feeling to exits, and 72 was the high there, and the markets kind of sold off quite dramatically when we're kind of down into these lows in the teens. It's kind of a 50-point move. So psychologically, that was an important kind of high, and these two bars, kind of low volume up bars, just show there's a lack of demand there. We kind of sell off. Now we come in and find support kind of a couple of days ago down here at 16, and we've rallied since there. But these last kind of 2 days up, finding support, yes, on better sine wave, but extremely low volume. Again, 2 days just showing a lack of demand. Today actually ended up being a high volume churn bar, so relatively high volume with relatively low range, high to low, and so that shows a lot of churn going on. A lot of professionals thinking about kind of taking profits here. Now we have a line in the sand. We either have on this time frame this kind of support level that's come in at I think it's 28. Yep, 28.50 on the at ES.D, day and night session. The support levels here at this, I think it's kind of the lows in the 20s. This is a critical support level. If we break this, bang, it's all over Red Rover. We're now into a downtrend, and that's going to last a long time. That's, for me, is what I'm looking for. I'm seeing all of this activity as being kind of distribution into this 72 high. We had all these extremely high average trade size coming into this high. These kind of tests back are on low volume. Today, this is why today was absolute classic. So two psychologically very important things happen. So Bin Laden gets killed up here at 72. Today we have the IPO of Glencore in London, and we have the IPO of LinkedIn in the US. So Glencore IPO kind of went off at a little bit of a premium, and the Glencore guys, billionaires and millionaires being made there with all the executives, and they must be thrilled. And they've kind of got out kind of before the show's over. And LinkedIn, the IPO went off. I think it was about a 90% premium, something like that. It's supposed to be at 40, 45, and it went off at 81 or something like that. Psychologically, huge amount of good news, and everybody's saying, the tech boom's kind of back in, and was this a bubble? And these guys are making out like bandits and so on. I mean, the valuation on the LinkedIn is just unbelievable. But that's by the by. What we're looking at here is psychologically the smartest guys in the room. Glencore, they're the equivalent of Goldman Sachs in the commodities space. The smartest guys in the room maybe time this move into their exit on the commodities side onto the a sell-off in equities kind of perfectly. The LinkedIn guys, as psychologically a signal for the retail market that a lot of people saying, well, stock market's going up. Look at this kind of huge pop on an IPO, and the retail market will get suckered in. Now tomorrow's going to be Friday. Friday we often get kind of a lot of kind of good news. There'll be some spillover. The market's up after yesterday. We get kind of the good news out of these kind of IPOs kind of going off. So potentially we could push a little bit higher, but I'll be looking to see these support levels. If they break, bang, that's the signal. And then just going back to the hypothesis chart that I put up kind of back here. And the way this is playing out, this is this kind of island reversal here. Yes, we found support, but this is the critical level kind of down here. Once we break that support, we're into a downtrend, and all I'm saying is we found just a lack of demand in these last couple of days, kind of testing back up. So yes, we could easily have another kind of day on Friday where we kind of push ahead, but any kind of breaks of these lows, that's it. Then Better X trend showed this over the last couple of days. This is where this kind of flipped over into a downtrend on Better X trend, and this is where we're testing back up under the lip. I always think of this kind of surfing terminology. We're testing back up under the lip here, formed by this kind of trailing stop, and if we find kind of no demand here, we just roll over, and then the downtrend kind of continues. Interesting today with bonds. Bonds kind of found some weakness. We had kind of exhaustion buying and some bearish divergence patterns here at this point here. But the activity day was really interesting. I mean, the equity market kind of turned around, and we'd expect bonds to sell off, but we didn't. We had a little initial sell-off in bonds, but then what happened was it was a blue professional bar, and we kind of closed on the highs, you can see. And this is blue professionals kind of coming in here at the lows, kind of buying this level. I mean, I've been talking about the bonds, how they sold off, end of trend, had a final push down here back in this February. Back in February, exhaustion selling at this point. We kind of tested back to these levels, and now we're starting to break to the upside, and we've got this cyclical resistance level that we start to break to the upside will be an uptrend on bonds. So today's activity, the smart money's in bonds. That was a really interesting move. They could be just buying this little dip, kind of expecting the market to go higher. The market that's kind of got me not particularly in sync with this is the euro. We've had a huge sell-off in the euro. We found support here, but the euro looks like it's, it pulled back in an uptrend. The euro kind of might run for a couple more days until we find a turning point here. It's extremely weak, I must admit here. It's extremely weak at this point at 43, and we're a couple of days away from a cyclical turn here. So, it could be early in terms of calling this as a potential rollover, but these are the levels to be watching. These kind of lows here on this time frame at 15, 16, 13, 15, 16, and then on the continuous contract at kind of 28. So, within that band, if we start to break below there, that's just going to be absolutely critical kind of going forward. And if we look at the the highest time frame tip bar charts, 40,500, we're kind of rolling over, potentially very weak buying at this point, so just be watching that. So Friday could go a little bit higher, and kind of some bad news over the weekend maybe kind of set us off on the downtrend. We've got all this tantalizing kind of activity happening in Europe with a potential default in Greece, in Ireland, in Portugal, whatever. I mean, it could be any number of kind of news events that all of a sudden causes a kind of rush to the exits. But just interesting with the Glencore and the LinkedIn IPO today. So anyway, long video from me. I'm not sure when I'm going to put this up on the site, whether I'll kind of hold it off for Friday. But anyway, that was my view on how you should have used the better indicators to trade today and what we're looking forward in the next couple of weeks. Good luck with your trading going forward.